problem with the left is that they want to have a revolution without having to have a revolution. The problem with the right is that they're all dirty cunts. So, but I'm a good Marxist. I've rearranged all the fridge magnets on my fridge door to spell out certain Marxist slogans, all of which are facts, and all of which I literally live my life by. So here we go. Cheer if you approve of the following Marxist slogans. Fuck Tories. An unusually enthusiastic response from Edinburgh. Eat the rich. Die pig scum. Godzilla versus inequality. We're all living in 1984. And UKIP are white cunts. So these are all facts and they're all true, and I live my life by them to the letter. Well, maybe don't literally fuck Tories. We want to stop them breeding. So that one, I guess, would be fuck Tories metaphorically. But the rest of them, I totally agree with. Well, maybe don't literally eat the rich. The rich are full of fatty acids and gluten. So if you want to lead a more balanced diet, perhaps eat a poor person once in a while. Die pig scum, I don't really know why that's there. Pigs are quite intelligent. I like pigs. My favourite film is Babe 2, Pig in the City. If you've not seen it, truly it's The Godfather Part 2 of talking animal movies. Fantastic film. Godzilla versus inequality. That's just a confusing metaphor. It's difficult to even imagine how you could envision that film. Perhaps a giant lizard fighting a glass ceiling, maybe. Or we are living in 1984. We're not all literally living in 1984. True, the public sector is under attack once again, but at least the miners aren't getting shafted. At least outside of the BBC. Now, that joke is there as a moral barometer. By not laughing at it, you have all passed. So let's continue. So basically what I'm saying is, these are all should be taken as metaphors. Okay, that's essentially what I'm saying. Except UKIP are white cunts. This is literally true. UKIP are literally white. And they are literally cunts. But this is true in the pejorative sense. So, now, the government are thinking of introducing this bill, okay, that they're thinking of introducing this bill that could potentially ban what they consider dangerous speech, okay, or dangerous writings. So I'm a little worried that my fridge door could face prosecution and that my fridge door could be arrested. But then I think maybe I shouldn't worry so much, because after all, my fridge door is white. So, welcome to the show. It's called Scum, not, as my mother genuinely thought, $cum. That would be spelled that way. You can see that. And to be honest, I don't really know why I've decided to write a show about politics, because I've not really been politically engaged for about 12 years now. Ever since we all marched to protest the war in Iraq, and nothing happened, it went ahead anyway. So since then, I've not really been as politically involved. Most of my life is watching daytime television. To give you an example, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is watch Frasier on a 4+1, because my life lacks urgency. After that, I jump to a challenge where I watch quiz show repeats for the rest of the day. Quiz shows from before I was even born. Quiz shows from the early 1980s. Quiz shows like the early 1980s 15 to 1, where all the contestants look like Victorian ghosts, compared to the modern 15 to 1, where all the contestants look like ghosts in the machine. 1980s quiz shows emphasising the deregulation and the privatisation of the public sector, or the Destroy the Generation game. It's a grower. Compared to modern quiz shows, which emphasise the links between big business and the forced entrepreneurism of broken Britain, or Who Wants to Be Governed by a Millionaire, or of course 3, 2, 1, 0-hour contract. So, and what, having all this free time, it's not just quizzes I get to watch. I get to watch the classic American drama box sets. You can watch them, Netflix, HBO, AMC. I get time to watch these. And if you're in a middle class dinner party, okay, and one of these television programmes comes up in conversation, it's very easy to bluff your way into the conversation. All you do is you take a classic sitcom and a piece of heavyweight literature, okay? You just combine the two. So imagine you're at a middle class dinner party and somebody mentions The Sopranos. These are the bluffers notes, okay? Right? So that's how you get through a middle class dinner party. The Sopranos is about an angry fat crime man and his psychiatrist. A bit like Dostoevsky's Frasier. See? It works. Or Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is about an angry bald drugs man in the desert. A bit like Samuel Beckett's Home Improvements. It's a foolproof system. Or maybe Game of Thrones, very popular. Game of Thrones is about angry kings, angry queens, angrily killing and or angrily sexing each other. A bit like Machiavelli's The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know what goes well with hummus? Pretension. Yum, 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 yum. Middle class dinner party, yum, yum. Or maybe you mention Mad Men. Mad Men's very popular. Mad Men is about angry office people secretly angry with themselves in the angry past. A bit like Franz Kafka's Happy Days. Or my personal favourite, Battlestar Galactica 2003. Battlestar Galactica 2003 is about angry sci-fi people dealing with conflict and bad racism. A bit like Sun Tzu's Third Rock from the Sun, which in turn is like Aldous Huxley's Alf, which in turn is like Joseph Conrad's Battlestar Galactica 1978. You know what is fantastic? League tables. Yum, 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 yum. Get rid of the poor. Yum, yum. Or maybe the greatest television programme of all time, The Wire, okay? The Wire, very easy to bluff your way into that conversation. The Wire is about an entire angry city, an entire angry society, and every angry layer in it. A bit like Charles Dickens' Friends. And The Walking Dead is just shit. Now, maybe you're out there and you're thinking, Nev hasn't mentioned my favourite American box set drama. Well, it's very easy. I'm going to show you how you do it. A classic sitcom, piece of heavyweight literature. So if there's an audience suggestion, one that I've not mentioned, American drama series.
True Detective.
True Detective. Okay, True Detective is about an angry yet charismatic, at least for the first series, detective who angrily and charismatically solves a mystery involving an angry, not as charismatic serial killer. A bit like Cormac McCarthy's Due South. It works! See? Another suggestion from the audience? CSI is about an angry yet sexy forensic detectives dealing with angry yet sexy crimes in various locations. It's a bit like, it works, this system, it's a bit like John Grisham's The Thin Blue Line. See, it works, it works. One last suggestion, please. House of Cards. House of Cards is about an angry, yet interesting, at least for the first two series, political campaigner or political man. Gaining angry power in the angry White House. It's a bit like Noam Chomsky's House of Cards UK. See, it works. Now, maybe you've not seen daytime television in the last 12 years. Daytime television, essentially for the last 12 years, has been meerkats pimping insurance. Okay. Now, my granny, she genuinely loves that meerkat, so much so that we bought her this book, A Simple Life, the autobiography of the comparison meerkat. Now, I read this book at length in order to criticise it for a long time, but there's nothing really worthy of criticism in this book. It's fluff. It's 155 pages of fluff. The only thing notable about this book is that when it was released in October 2010, it outsold Tony Blair's autobiography. There's not really much to compare between Tony Blair and a meerkat, except that they've both left countless dead bodies in the desert. The difference being that no meerkat was ever made the peace envoy for scorpions. There's probably less fabrications in this book. Now, for some of the young people in, that joke there, that was about the Iraq War. Some of you might not be old enough to remember. If you're old enough, you might remember there used to be this country that existed. It was called Iraq, okay? You might remember the footage. What it looked like was guys running around with guns, hiding behind pillars and popping out. It looked a little like Call of Duty, but an illegal Call of Duty. To continue the video game analogy for the older people, at the end of Super Mario, where you overthrow King Koopa, but the game just goes right back to the start. All the original enemies have been replaced by new, worse enemies, and the whole cycle of turtle stomping violence continues forever. That essentially was the Iraq War, okay? But there was no proof that Koopa actually had Peach. That was the Iraq War in a nutshell. So I think my generation's problem was that we were ignorant of what living under a Tory regime would be like. It was like fairy tales that our mum and dads told us, There's my inner child just screaming. So it's like fairy tales that our mum and dads told us, it was like once upon a time in a country that was once industrious, it was up there, you just couldn't imagine it really, it was like giants, wolves, and milk snatchers. It just didn't really make sense to our young minds, but we live in a country that has been moulded by the policies of the 1980s. Thatcherism was like plate tectonics, and it's left us with this barren landscape, where nobody has anything to go by. Anybody born after a certain point, you're living in a world where it's like a woodpecker egg being laid on Easter Island, because you've got no trees, or maybe a baby car born into the crumbling city of Detroit. Or maybe a person born in Paisley. Some tittles from the people that know that reference. If you're not from Scotland, you might not get that. Paisley is like a town just outside Glasgow, and it's pretty poor. So who's not from Scotland? Okay, I'll do that joke specifically again for your region. Where are you from, sir? London? Okay. So, that joke again, but for you, sir. Woodpecker eggs, baby car, anybody born outside of London. See, I can work any crowd. So, my dad, he would occasionally drive us to places like Paisley or anywhere outside of London, and we would see I would see a homeless person out the window, and I would say, "Daddy, what happened to that man?" And my dad would go, "The 1980s, son." So that's what I was like. So let's get into the politics of the hour. So recently I was caught shoplifting. I was caught shoplifting Yorkie bars. Allow me to explain. Being a good leftist radical, for many years I've been boycotting Nestle. Okay, Nestle makes Yorkie, so I've not had any Yorkies for a long, long time. Okay, Nestle have been accused of producing potentially dangerous breast milk substitute in the third world, and also it's been alleged that Nestle have used child labour in the manufacturing of their chocolate. Okay, what Nestle do is they hide like a golden ticket inside like the Nestle chocolate, and when a third world child opens it up and finds a golden ticket, the third world child runs to the Nestle factory and the gates are locked forever. Okay. Essentially, Oompa Loompas are just severely deformed third world children. That's essentially what I'm saying. And giving up Yorkies is the single most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, because I love Yorkies. Much more difficult than actually protesting Nestle. I love Yorkies. Yorkies were a big part of growing up. I love Yorkie Original. I love Yorkie Raisin and Biscuit. I love Yorkie Whole Nut Roast Almond, discontinued 1995. I love Yorkie Honeycomb, discontinued 2004. I love Yorkie Blue Ice, that was a limited edition mint flavour, as we all remember, over the Christmas of 2006. And I love Yorkie Hot Stuff Hot Rum, limited edition Easter Run 2003. We all remember that. I thought, an applause there, thank you. So I'm old enough to remember Yorkie when it was still 6 chunks of chocolate, spelled out Y-O-R-K-I-E. 6 chunks of chocolate. I'm old enough to remember the good old days of 2002 when Yorkie was 78 grams compared to the Yorkie of 2014 onwards, which is 45 grams. Unbelievable, And that's because Yorkie, they've got rid of that 6th chunk. Now it just goes Y-O-R-K-I. And that doesn't make any sense. That's a poor name for like a BBC 4 Swedish detective drama. You need those 6 chunks of chocolate, yummy, orgasmic, refreshing, the king of chocolates, incredible taste, ecstasy in chocolate form. You need all that. Now, I know essentially this bit of stand-up is just a comedian reminiscing about chocolates of the past. Yes, it is a little like Peter Kay. Who remembers chomps? Give the man a BAFTA. but I had a moment of weakness last year when Nestle, they reintroduced the Yorkie peanut, okay? And I saw it in the shops, and I knew I had to have it, okay? And so I decided, I'll steal it, because if I'm stealing it, I'm not giving Nestle any money, you know? So it's okay, right? So I got the Yorkie peanut in my hand, and that first taste of Yorkie peanut, you know, I could just taste all the third world children's tears rolling down my throat, and it was fucking delicious. I had a similar problem when Nestle reintroduced the Lion Bar peanut. Okay, so maybe I'll accept any atrocity as long as peanuts are involved. Would you like some veal, Nev? Veal? Ugh! Unless the baby cow's guts were stuffed exclusively with peanuts. Then pass it this way, yum yum yum. This dinner party is going fantastic. Did you hear, Nev, that there's a once beloved cartoon characters who have now formed a separatist group and who are assassinating people? Oh, that's disgusting. Unless the separatist cartoon characters included Linus, Lucy, Pigpen, Peppermint Patty, Schroeder, Sally, Woodstock, Snoopy and Charlie Brown. Then I'm all for it. They come from a script, Peanuts, Charles M. Schultz. So anyway, you know, is it a sin for a man to steal a Yorkie bar to feed his starving children after their long day at the Nestle factory? I don't think so. I don't think it's a crime. I consider stealing Yorkie bars ethical shoplifting. Because I'm stealing a lot of Yorkies, okay? I'm taking a lot of money away from Nestle, okay? But what I'm doing with that money is I'm giving it to charity, okay? But it's got to the point now where I'm stealing too many Yorkies for me to eat, you know. I'm stealing an inhuman amount of Yorkies. You know, I'm stealing like 6 Yorkies a week, you know. And that's too much Yorkies for one man, you know. So maybe you're saying, well, what you could do, Nev, is you could give the Yorkies you don't eat to some starving children in Britain. But, as you know, we have an obesity epidemic. So I just burn them. You know, so maybe you're out there and you're wondering, why is this man so obsessed with Yorkie bars? Well, I'll tell you. Yorkie bars, as well as me loving the taste, they played an important part in my adolescence. Because when I was very young, my dad, he left us, okay, left me and my mum, but he wanted there to be this manly presence in the household. So my dad left all the decision making up to this Yorkie bar. Because Yorkie is the manliest of all chocolates, isn't it? Yorkie bar is thick slabs of brown sugar deliciousness. Yorkie bars look like they were designed by a committee in the 1960s by somebody who is envisioning the future of chocolate. That's the best joke in the show. Because it's about social housing and chocolate, it's very clever. And you know, and Yorkie was there for me growing up, you know. And I think because of Yorkie, I've become a stronger man and a better man, because Yorkie was there for me during all the difficult times in my adolescence. You know, so for example, one time I was riding my bike and I fell and I grazed my knee, and Yorkie was there with his cool wrapper, like a kiss from an angel. Or, you know how on Yorkies there's the jagged edge, you know, at the corner. Well, I remember when I first learned to shave, Yorkie was there, you know, when I first learned to shave. And that, I was shaving because I was going out on my first ever date, you know. And I went out on my first ever date and I was heartbroken for the first time, and I ran home, and Yorkie was there to console me. The tears running down my face, and Yorkie was there, and you can just wipe the tears off. He's smooth wrapper. Yorkie taught me a valuable lesson that night. He taught me that some of us aren't for girls. But this makes it sound like my time with Yorkie was full of tragedy, when it wasn't. You know, there was a lot of good times that I had with Yorkie. You know, mostly what I remember is Yorkie. He used to sing me to sleep. You know, all my favourite singers. You know, Yorkie used to sing for me. You know, folk like "This machine will go a communing," Tom Yorkie. You know, or "It's oh so quiet. It's oh so peaceful until," by Yorkie. Or my favourite, "To the Strand," Lion Ferry Bar. So sorry, let's get into the politics. Recently, last year on Facebook, I was censored for something I said. This was at the time of the 2014 by-elections, and UKIP had just got a number of seats, and it was also the week that the new X-Men film was released. And what I said on Facebook was this: "So your new X-Men film, you know what? 36% turnout, UKIP cunts in with a general election next year. Forget your fantasy dystopias, scary times are coming. If this independence vote doesn't go through, we can't go back in time, people. We don't need latent powers to murder some fascists." So I said that, and Facebook censored me for apparently advocating murder. But to be honest, in the scheme of everything I've said online, it's quite tame, you know. But since then I've become paranoid, and I'm a bit worried that you know, there might be government agencies looking at what I'm looking at online, you know, because some of what I look at online is deeply questionable. Not what you're thinking. When I'm not spending my time watching daytime quizzes, or I'm stealing Yorkie bars, what I do is I go on YouTube and I watch these Watch Mojo top 10 lists. Okay, now Watch Mojo top 10 lists, most of them are just about film, music, you know, stuff like that. But some of them are deeply questionable. Okay, and I'm a bit worried that anybody looking at these lists, you might get the wrong impression of me. So we'll have a look at these genuine Watch Mojo lists. Okay, these are all genuine Watch Mojo top 10 lists. Number 1 is top 10 infamous bombings. To get me. Brackets in the Western world. You can see that because we're the people that matter. So, top 10 most famous bombings in the Western world. At number 9, we have the World Trade Center bombing of 1993. A bit unfairly overshadowed by its later blockbuster sequel. A bit like the original Mad Max. If we look further down the list, at number 5, we have the 2005 London bombings. What a great bombing that was, exactly in the middle. But at number 3, we can see the Lockerbie bombings. So it's good to see that the Scots are beating the English, at least on this list. And number 1, Watch Mojo's favourite bombing campaign in the Western world is the IRA bombings of 1969 to 1997. An obvious choice, but the correct one. And this goes to show that if you're famous in the 1970s, you'll be famous forever. Or maybe we have a look at this Watch Mojo list. Top 10 assassinations. Number 10, Philip II of Macedonia. Number 9, Malcolm X, son of Malcolm IX. At 7, we have Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and at number 6, we have John Lennon. Now, I don't want to discredit the memory of John Lennon, but who at Watch Mojo truly thinks that John Lennon's assassination was one better assassination than the Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassination? That's just insane. You know, John Lennon was just one singer, but the Archduke Franz Ferdinand was an entire indie band whose assassination started the First World War. Number 5, Martin Luther King Jr., we're back on track. Number 4, John F. Kennedy, the bookie's favourite. Number 3, Abraham Lincoln. Number 2, Julius Caesar. Now, Watch Mojo, on these lists, they also include a category called honorary mentions. Okay, so assassinations that aren't good enough to get into the top 10, but good enough that they warrant mention. And number 1 on Watch Mojo's top 10 assassinations list is Mahatma Gandhi, the greatest assassination of all time. My favourite and yours. Once again, the obvious choice, but the correct one. An assassination so great, they made a film out of it, but I can't remember the name of that one. Well, maybe we have a look at this one, Watch Mojo's top 10 hate groups. Okay, and what is great about this list is that they would all hate being on it with each other. The Aryan Brotherhood at 10, we'd be looking at the New Black Panthers at 9, and the Jewish Defence League at 8, going, how the fuck have we been beaten by some blacks and some Jews? We've got lots of hate in us. Much more hate than these guys. You look further down the list, at number 5 we have the Taliban, not as popular as they used to be. At number 4, my favourite is the Westboro Baptist Church, who have 0 kills. That is a truly impressive level of hatred, that they can beat ISIS on the honorary mentions list. That's a level of hatred that should be applauded. 0 kills, my favourite. Al-Qaeda, Ku Klux Klan. Number 1, the Nazis. Once again, an obvious choice, but the correct one. Or maybe we have a look at this list. Watch Mojo's top 10 dangers facing our planet. Okay, and it's very helpful of Watch Mojo to rank the means by which the world might end. But I don't know what the criteria for ranking them is. How is poverty / hunger free better than a pandemic? Doesn't really make sense. Perhaps there's an audience favourite. Madam, your favourite means by which the world might end? Overpopulation, it's also the one world biggest. Overpopulation is number 1, but it's I think it's overhyped and it's subtly racist. Okay, so I'm not calling you racist, madam, but I'm calling your assumptions racist. So overpopulation, I think is overhyped and subtly racist, because if you look at population of the world, it's actually plateauing in the Western world, isn't it? And it's rising in the third world. I would argue that the real problem is consumption compared to overpopulation. You know, it's a bit rich, us in the Western world going, look at these third world fuckers having their babies, who statistically consume the least, driving up the population. The bastards, pass me another Yorkie. Or maybe we have a look at this list. Watch Mojo's top 10 worst humans of all time. And I've left these blank because this is the quiz part of the night. So perhaps if you want to shout out who you think might be on the worst humans of all time list, and we'll see if they're on the list. Audience suggestions? Hitler? King Herod? Jimmy Savile, Bill Gates. Well, let's have a look. Okay, at number 10 we have Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, Jeffrey Dahmer was a serial killer who was a necrophiliac and who ate the dead bodies. Okay. At number 9 we have Jim Jones. Jim Jones was a cult leader who killed 900 in Guyana. Okay. At number 8, my favourite, we have Osama bin Laden. Okay. At number 7 on the worst humans of all time list, we have Vlad III, Prince of Wallachia, aka the Impaler. So Watch Mojo genuinely thinks that Dracula is worse than Osama bin Laden. At number 6, we have Ivan IV. A bit unfair to put Ivan IV there. Anybody with the surname The Terrible, you would expect to grow up that way, wouldn't you? Number 5, Pol Pot, the first winner of Britain's Got Talent. Number 4, we have Idi Amin Dada. Strangely, this list is more ethnically diverse than the top 10 hate groups. This maybe says something about Watch Mojo's agenda. At number 3, we have Attila the Hun, used to play for Rangers. At number 2, we have Caligula, dirty sex Roman. Number 1, the worst person of all time. Who do we think it is? Worst human of all time? Shout it out.
Hitler.
Drum roll, please. The worst human of all time is Henrik Hitler. Controversial choice. Look, I know we all wanted Hitler to be number 1. I'm as disappointed as you are, but we're just going to have to face the fact that Hitler isn't evil enough to beat Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, that's just facts. You can't argue with them. I mean, these are truly disgusting lists, you know. So much so that I've made my own list. I made my own list of Nev's top 10 most distasteful Watch Mojo top 10 lists. These are all genuine lists. You can look them up online. Number 10, top 10 torture porn. Number 9, top 10 celebrities killed in car accidents. Number 8, top 10 movies that harmed animals. Number 7, top 10 celebrities that allegedly killed someone. If the celebrity had killed someone, maybe it would be further up the list. Number 6, top 10 military mishaps. That one's a little like an episode of You've Been Framed. Number 4, top 10 mass shootings. I know. Number 3, top 10 ruthless dictators. You'll be glad to know, audience, Hitler makes it to number 1 on that one. Good for you, Hitler. If you just pull the finger out, you'll get number 1. Number 2, top 10 ways the world might end in the next 100 years. But number 1, Watch Mojo's most distasteful top 10 list is top 10 unlikely celebrity couples. So, I'm going to read you this list, and perhaps you'll spot a pattern for why I've made this Watch Mojo's most distasteful list. Okay, so here's the list. Flavor Flav and Bridget Nielsen. Madonna and Dennis Rodman. Gene Simmons and Diana Ross. Honorary mentions, Roger Ebert and Oprah, Heidi Klum and Seal. But according to Watch Mojo, the most unlikely celebrity couple is Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley. Now, what factor links those couples?
Black and white.
They're all black and white, they're all mixed races, so maybe we should have another go at that top 10 hate groups list, and we'll see if Watch Mojo has made it to the number 1 spot. So there you go. Now, this is top 10 hate groups. These are all bad, naughty companies. Nestle at number 2, Watch Mojo at number 1. But you can see there at the bottom, I've got the dishonorary mentions category. Sir, if you could read out the companies on the dishonorary companies list, please.
Nike, Total SA, M&S, Facebook, Monsanto, Coke, and Trafficura.
Thank you very much. So, Nike, Total SA, Marks and Sparks, Facebook, Monsanto, Coke, and Trafigura. So I'll tell you a little personal anecdote, okay? Now, when I was a teenager, I worked for one of these companies. I won't tell you which one. It's getting filmed. I don't want the lawyers on me. But But I worked for one of these companies, okay, stacking shelves, and I won't tell you which company, but so I worked for this company, and this company, I don't know if it was the entire company or it was just the store I worked in, but they made fresh bread each day. Okay, won't tell you which company. And what they would do at the end of the shift, they would take the fresh bread that hadn't been sold and they would put it in the bins outside, right? And what they asked me to do was spray some blue dye on it, okay, so that homeless people couldn't eat the bread, okay? So, and I thought this is a horrible thing to do. You know, so what I did, I made sure that at the end of every shift that I was the person taking the bread out, okay, and making sure that I didn't spray the bread with the dye, because if you're a homeless person and you're going in a bin for some bread, what loss is it to the company? You know, I won't tell you which one. So I did this, and somebody, one of my colleagues, ratted me out, okay? And I got called into the manager's office, and the manager was saying, this is company policy. We spray the dye on the bread so that the homeless people can't eat it, they can't go into our bins. And I said, well, I find it morally wrong, okay? And we had an argument about it. And he said, well, this is company policy. And I said, well, maybe I should go to the press about it, right? And I wish I did, because the next day I got fired, okay? I won't tell you which company it was. But the true irony of it is that directly across the road, okay, in the Greggs on 259 Byers Road, Glasgow, okay, what they did with the bread they didn't sell was they gave it to a homeless shelter, okay, but the company I worked with, directly across the road from Greggs, 259 Byers Road, Glasgow, okay, was, they didn't. And to this day, it infuriates me that I never went to the press, but I'm not going to say the name of the company, okay? If you want to know, you can ask me individually at the end, and I'll tell you. So anyway, what was I saying? So I've got a show about politics to write. I've not done it yet. So what I decided to do was I would go away from the city, somewhere where I'm not distracted. So I decided I'm going to go to Jura. It's an island off the coast of Scotland. On Jura, they've got no Watch Mojo, they've got no quiz shows, they've got no Yorkie bars, no distractions, okay, no distractions. So I thought, this is a good time for me. I could go to Jura, just me, a cabin, and a typewriter, pure comedy. Okay, I can write some stuff about politics for the show. So that's what I decided to do. On Jura, there is nothing, okay? There's absolutely nothing except despair. Despair and red deer. That's it, and nothing else. Jura is famous for George Orwell writing 1984 on it, and the KLF burning £1 million on it. But there's nothing else on Jura. It's just cabin, typewriter, me, get down to some pure comedy, okay? So, I'm sitting at a typewriter, okay, and no distractions from some pure comedy, some politics. Okay, but there was one tiny distraction, okay? In the cabin, there was the Pixar film Cars, the children's film about talking cars, okay? But it's not really going to distract me. Get down to some politics. It's silly to be distracted by this, okay? What is annoying about cars is that they don't let you know the logic of the scenario, okay? Talking cars I'll go with, but you need to set the parameters of the world, don't you? So, in cars, they don't let you know whether this society is set post-humans, okay? Super intelligent cars gained artificial intelligence, killed off all the humans, as you saw in the Brave Little Toaster. they don't tell you that. Or whether Cars is set in like an alternative universe where humans have just been replaced by cars. You know, like Thomas and the Magic Railroad. You know, they don't let you know, and that's annoying because they don't let you know that distinction. The rest of the film doesn't work. Okay, the narrative doesn't work. Nothing in the film works, and it's annoying. It's confusing, and it's annoying. But that's all I'm going to say about Cars. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. We'll get back to the politics. I mean, I would even accept. Okay, I would even accept if they told me that somehow cars and humans had interbred and caused some sort of bizarre mutant hybrid, like as you saw in J.G. Ballard's Brum. But they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that, and that's annoying. You know, Herbie, I get. Magic car has boring adventures. You know, Christine, I get. Evil car kills people. Okay, that makes sense. Knight Rider, super intelligent car, belittles itself to deal with David Hasselhoff's alcoholism. I get it. Okay, that makes sense. Cars, the Pixar film about talking cars, doesn't make sense, and that's annoying. They don't let you know what the logic of the scenario is, and that fucks the rest of the film. Okay, doesn't make sense. But anyway, back to the politics. I mean, there's two jokes in Cars, okay, and neither of them make sense because you don't know what the fuck's going on. Okay, joke number one, okay, there's this old hippie van, okay, VW, and he's listening to Jimi Hendrix, Star Spangled Banner, okay, and this annoys an old 1941 Willis military jeep, okay? And the military jeep comes out and says, "Show some respect." And the old hippie VW goes, "Hey, that's Jimmy, man." So, are Pixar telling me that Jimi Hendrix was a fucking car? Was there a car Woodstock? All the cars rolling around the hills with flowers in their grills, taking car-specific drugs, antifreeze. You know, poor Jimi Hendrix, choked on his own fuel at 27. Terribly young age for a car. He hadn't even passed his second MOD. Poor Jimi Hendrix. You know, was this maybe this hippie van it was involved in the Carl Manson murders, and that's why he's hiding out in Radiator Springs. Okay, maybe that's why. You know, and on that day, the Carl Manson murders, on that day, truly, the car 1960s ended. And what also is annoying is why doesn't this VW have a German accent? It's a German car, should have a German accent. Presumably, that should annoy the military jeep even more. So within Cars, there's the implication that there's a World War II of fucking cars. Now that's a good children's film. Why am I watching that? Some sort of Saving Private Ryan with cars, like the cars driving up onto the beach, their engines exposed, oil everywhere. My poor car life, my poor car. Oh, I'm dying. Starring Tom Hanks. Why am I watching that film? You know, does this military jeep, does he have, you know, certain xenophobic views on Japanese cars? You know, if a young family of Toyotas moved into Radiator Springs, would this military jeep hound them with racist abuse until they drove away? No, it doesn't make sense. It's annoying. Okay? And joke number two makes even less sense. So, the hero car, okay, he becomes friends with this hillbilly pickup truck, okay, and what they do is they go cow tipping, because that's what they do in the countryside. But the cows have been replaced by tractors. So, Pixar are telling me that this is some sort of world where humans evolved into cars, but cows evolved into tractors. You know, other cars eating tractor burgers. You know, yum yum, the tractor, yum yum. Is there a whole industry devoted to keeping the tractors permanently pregnant so that the cars can drink the delicious tractor milk? Yum yum, tractor milk, yum 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 yum. You know, doesn't make sense. Are there cars walking about Radiator Springs with like tractor skin jeans? You know, doesn't make sense. Would you like some tractor veal, Nev? Tractor veal? No! Unless the baby tractor's guts were stuffed exclusively with whatever the equivalent of peanuts is for cars, okay? Doesn't make sense! And it's depressing me. And what's even more depressing is that there wasn't even a DVD player in the cabin, okay? It was just a sleeve for the Cars DVD, okay? I've never even seen Cars, and it's annoying because I came out of Jura to write a show about politics. All I wrote is 20 minutes on a children's cartoon I've not even fucking seen, okay? And it's annoying, And, you know, Cars is a more frightening future scenario than anything George Orwell could have came up with. You know, it's Henry Ford's production line nightmare taken to its logical extreme. Man makes machine, machine makes machine, machine makes machine makes machine, machine makes man into machine. Pixar produced the worst film they've ever made. It's annoying! You know, and it got me down. It really got me down that all I've fucking done is I wrote a bit about Cars, children's film I've not even seen. So what I decided to do was I decided to kill myself. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to monoxide myself, okay? So I'm sitting in the garage and it's filling with gas, and as I'm drifting off to sweet death, I suddenly realised that I don't want to be a person anymore, all pink and guts. I want to be tough, made of steel. I want to be a car. So I opened the garage doors and I ran around Jura and I headbutted as many red deer as I could. Take that deer, I'm a car! Take that deer, I'm a car! Take that deer, I'm a car! And see, if I made cars, okay? If I made cars, what I would have done was I would have had the whole history of the automobile industry, but where the cars have been replaced by humans and the humans have been replaced by cars. It's really clever what I've done, just the old switcheroo. You know. So the film would begin with you know, like pioneering cars in like the 1800s, going out to places like California Car, you know, and they would be digging for blood, you know, digging for the lovely blood under the ground. You know, and soon a whole industry would be devoted to this lovely blood under the ground, you know, and these cars would become blood tycoons, wouldn't they? And you know, America, they had the most amount of blood up until about World War II of cars, you know. Then they were overtaken by Middle Gear Shift East, you know, Middle Gear Shift East. They had whole oceans of blood under the sands, whole oceans of blood under the sand, all that yummy, yummy blood which the car society is addicted to and which it runs on, all that yummy, yummy blood. So much blood that you would go to war over this blood, wouldn't you? So much blood that you'd go to war over it. You know, Jean-Paul Sartre, because it's that type of show, he said, if there is no God, anything is permitted. But Jean-Paul Sartre is a wank and he's wrong. Because surely, if there is a God, then anything is permitted by people who believe in God or who believe themselves to be the instruments of God. And that can't be said for any fucking meerkat, can it? You fucking cunt, you took us into an illegal war. There will be oil. Based on the book Blood. I think the problem with my generation is that we're passive, you know. and we don't get angry about what we should get angry about. And I think seriously you can trace this back to protesting the war in Iraq and it going ahead anyway. It sort of left you feeling that nothing mattered. You're a young person, you protest, nothing matters. So instead of writing a show about politics, I wrote a show about things on the internet, chocolate, and a children's cartoon because it's easier. The real reason I went to Jura, okay, is that I got caught shoplifting. I got caught shoplifting Yorkie bars, okay? What happened was, I'm in that company that I won't mention, and because I'm sticking it to them, and I saw the Yorkie peanut, and what I decided to do was steal it, right? And as I'm going out the shop, the security guard puts his hand on my shoulder, and he spins me around, and as I look into the security guard's eyes, I recognise him. And it's my dad, who abandoned me all those years ago. So what I did was, we started to fight, and we struggled, and we threw blows at each other, and I got his head in a headlock, and I started pushing peanuts into his eyes, and I squeezed down on his head, and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, until his head fucking burst, like an Easter egg under my arm. I hate you, Dad. I hate you, Dad, for leaving me and my mum to the ravages of a Yorkie bar. I hate you, Dad. I fucking hate you. I hate you, Dad. I hate you. I fucking hate you, Dad. And you know what? I'm a fucking hypocrite. Because I would love to get as angry about politics as I do watching catchphrase on fucking challenge. Because you've seen catchphrase, you've seen it. The contestants, they just can't get even the simplest catchphrase. You know, something really simple like this. You can see it there. Is it? No jam for Bovril. No. It's no blood for oil. It took us into an illegal war. Is it? No strawberry sherbet for Guinness. No, it's no blood for oil. You fucking meerkat cunt, Tony Blair, I fucking hate you. Is it? No disintegrating Christmas tinsel for Tory tears. No, it's no blood for oil, you fucking cunt! Do you know how difficult it is to steal 24 Yorkies for the entire Fringe run? See that bit about my dad being the security guard? That's a lie. Okay. My mum and dad, they're still together, they've been together for about 30 years. And I love my dad, we get on very well. That bit's there because this year I want to win a comedy award. I'm finished.